Welcome back. Let's continue by looking at the tab that allows us to print our CMS 1500 form to paper. This is the screen we last left off on, but let's go over to the Print to Paper tab here. As you can see, we have a list of our found set of records that were marked for pending claims that we reviewed one at a time, maybe under each of these different tabs. And now we're at the Print to Paper screen. We're not necessarily going to print all of them to paper, but I can look here and I see that none of these are marked for adding to the batch. I could send them one at a time, but I may want to send them in a batch. So I'm going to look through and I can just kind of see, well, I don't want to send that one because it's preferred to be sent through e-billing, and obviously I can just do that. Now I can also remove these by omitting them, Control T, or coming up here, I believe, and omitting that particular invoice that is highlighted. And then I could click a button. Let's say you have 20 or 30 or 100 different claims. It might be easier just to click this button that says Mark Entire Found Set below for print batch. It might be a little bit faster, but that wasn't that hard to do that. So again, we have find pending claims right there. I've already done that. We can see our invoice status. I can click this little button and see a history of the invoice status if I want. After I print the claim or send it through e-billing, it's going to change the status and update it in the record to match the current status, which may be e-billed or printed to batch or something like that. I can also look at the payer type or types right here and change that as needed. So a little bit further over here, this again is the preference, and you may decide that the preference is different for this particular patient, so you can certainly change it. Now, as I mentioned, we can print an individual claim, or we can include that in batch. So right now, all of these are marked for batch, and if I come over to the batch printing button or tab, then I can print this batch to the primary printer or a secondary printer. And the secondary printer is designed if you have two different people, for example, in your office or multiple locations that want to print claims, but they have very different printers. Well, the margins may be different. And as you know, in a CMS 1500 form, things need to line up pretty close. There is some variance allowed. But if one printer is way off of another, then you would only really have one person be able to print those. So this is your primary printer here. This is your secondary printer. And then under the batch area, we can print all, let's say 1, 2, 3, 5 at once here, or on the secondary printer there. If we come over here, then I can print one page or 2 pages, 2 copies essentially of page 1. And as you probably know, the second page is if you need charges 7 through 12 to show up. And we don't allow that for electronic billing, as I mentioned before, but we do allow you to print up to 12 charge lines, and on the second page it will indicate that it is page 2 of 2 if you have more than 6 charge lines. So also on this area here, for either page 1 or page 2, we can create a PDF, and that just simply takes that claim and turns it into a PDF. There are no lines, red lines on here. Now, we deliberately do not include red lines. We were asked by the Uniform Claim Committee through their rules not to put red ink, because there's a special type of red ink that is displayed on those pre-printed forms that you can purchase. And so we apologize that we don't put black lines or red lines. We like to go with the rules, and that's what they suggest. You can also archive that document to the patient's folder if you're using document storage. So again, you can print 1 or 2 copies, create a PDF, or archive the PDF. Instead of just saving it to your desktop or something, you can archive it in the patient's folder a little bit faster. Now, if you do need to adjust margins, then you can click right here, and what that will do is open up this area here. And we have instructions right on the area, but I'm going to actually go over it with you. It's a little bit tricky, and you need to have rights to do this. So if for some reason you can't go into layout mode, then please contact your administrator or contact us, and we'll try to help. I'm going to click this button in the upper right area called Edit Layout, and that puts me into layout or developer mode. Then I can simply click on this box here, and as it tells me, click here and use the arrows on your keyboard to move the text up, down, left, or right. Well, you can only go to the left just a little bit, 3 or 4 clicks, and I'm using, again, the arrows on my keyboard. You can't see that. but I can't move very far. I think I can only go 3 more over to the left. I certainly can go up a few, 15 as it says over here, and I can go down or over to the right. So do your best to line that up. Once you've moved a little bit after having printed a CMS 1500 form ahead of time, then what you may want to do is go back into, let's exit the layout here. I'm sorry you couldn't see all of that when I was showing these numbers here. I apologize. It expanded off of the palette there. But 3 from the left, 15 from the top, but you can kind of move that down with the keys on your keyboard. And what I'm going to do is exit the layout, and I have it prompt. It's not going to prompt me to save my change, but normally we recommend that it does that for you, so you can back out of it if you make a mistake. Once you've done that, you can actually print right from here. You don't have to go back here and then go to the printed area and print. Instead, let's go back here. You could just go up to File and Print, and then print a copy of it right from here and see, okay, well, it's a little bit better, but I still need to go up, down, left, or right, that sort of thing. So let's go back to this area here where the printed form is, and that's how you adjust page 1 on printer 1. If I go to printer 2, there are different margins. It's actually a different screen or layout, so you can actually adjust those maybe a little bit differently on a different printer. The same is true if you need to adjust page 2. And generally, page 1 and page 2, they're different layouts, different screens, but you'd probably want them positioned almost the same, if that makes sense. So that kind of gives you an overview of this screen here, and the next video will cover the e-billing screen.